Welcome back to the show. I'm Peter Cardwell. You're with TalkTV on TV, radio, online and on your smart speaker. Now, as we talked about earlier, the Prime Minister is under pressure to sack Home Secretary Suella Braverman over her accusations of police bias in a newspaper article that was not approved by Rishi Sunak. Well, joining me now to discuss this and what happened at the COVID inquiry as well is Trevor Kavanagh, who is political columnist at The Sun. Trevor, you're very welcome to the programme this morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Peter. I'm fine, thanks.
How much, I mean, Rishi Sunak clearly under a lot of pressure, but I just wonder how much parliamentary support Suella Braverman actually has, because I was talking to a senior Tory insider, a former cabinet minister recently, who said it's really between 6 and 12 MPs, but clearly the support of the Conservative Party, the grassroots, is huge, and lots of TalkTV viewers and listeners really supporting Suella Braverman. She has a constituency, there's no doubt about that.
Well, that's absolutely true, and not only your listeners, but our readers.
Yeah.
I think that outside in the country at large, the Home Secretary has the full support on almost every word she's uttered and written on this subject over more than just the last few days, but over several months on immigration, on law and order, and so on. And I think that the big problem for Rishi is that because of this popularity, he is very much roped in the sense that he cannot carry out a reshuffle too soon, which is probably on the cards anyway. And if he moves Suella anywhere, he can only demote her, which is the equivalent of a sacking. And
probably not going to make her Chancellor.
No, I think probably not.
It was interesting that Robert Halfon, the minister, was on the round this morning, and he was very tongue-tied when Sky News asked him whether Rishi Sunak had confidence in Suella Braverman. Let's take a look.
Does the Prime Minister still have confidence in Suella Braverman?
I think that's the problem. Whoever is the minister, that's up to the Prime Minister to decide. But as I say, our focus is working closely with the police
if the Prime Minister still has
every
confidence.
step necessary is taken to safeguard remembrance services and keep.
It's been interesting, though, as well, Trevor. We've had some Tory grandees, including people like David Davis, for example, praising the front page of your rival, The Mirror, today. It says, to Suella Braverman, how dare you try to take away the freedom of speech and thought and protest. I mean, it's kind of interesting that he has said, I don't often praise the Daily Mirror, but today people should take a look at their front page. I'll see if I can hold it up here. And, I mean, there's a criticism of Suella Braverman there from David Davis. Very interesting that clearly the wagons are circling on her from some who are within the parliamentary party for the Conservatives as well.
Yes, it's fairly surprising that David Davis would take the stand, in a sense, although he is a champion of free speech, which is basically the reason he's in Parliament. So that perhaps explains it. But I would have thought that on many of the issues that Suella's raised, David Davis would be on side.
Yes, indeed.
I think that the big problem about this is it's not just freedom of speech here. This is potentially, and we will wait until tomorrow morning and maybe Sunday itself to see exactly what happens in these demonstrations. But this is a challenge to the authority of the Prime Minister and the police, who have both appealed to the protesters to at least leave this sacrosanct weekend free from the demonstrations they've been having every weekend so far.
Well, speaking of freedoms, of course, we had the COVID inquiry as well this week. We had Suella Braverman's predecessor. Of course, we'll forget about Grant Shapps being Home Secretary for 7 days or whatever it was, but certainly Priti Patel was at the COVID inquiry. I just want to play a little bit of what she said to that inquiry and then get your reaction, Trevor.
Did you think that a new flat fine of £10,000 was proportionate?
It was very high. It was just...
Was it proportionate in light of the civil libertarian issues, the public health context, and the fact that these fines were being produced and imposed for breaches of social movements?
The answer is no.
I mean, pretty brutal there from Priti Patel, and this three-word strategy that she's employing, as many others have, blame Matt Hancock.
Yes. Well, Matt Hancock is taking the full brunt of the blame on this, and perhaps deservedly so. As I certainly think it is deserved.
It's not just one man's fault, though, Trevor, is it?
No, it wasn't. What you've learned from this inquiry is that the whole of Downing Street was in a state of perpetual chaos and shambles. No decisions were being made, and when they were being made, they were being reversed within hours or days. And nobody knew who was leading, least of all the Prime Minister of the time, Boris Johnson. So, I mean, this is not new. What we are hearing in the inquiry is really a revelation of what we were saying, many of us at the time, that the whole of the lockdown procedure was in fact bungled. It should never have happened in the way that it did. It might have been excusable for a few weeks or even a month or two as the authorities had to come to terms with this new pandemic. But the incidence of COVID were beginning to fall even as the lockdown was imposed. And what it did to society was abundantly evident from the very moment it began, when you could walk across the streets of London with a blindfold on and not see a car.
Yeah, Trevor makes a lot of sense, Candice, doesn't he?
He does. But I think that's never going to be examined properly.
I know, and that is a real problem for so many people as well. Trevor Kavanagh, thank you very much indeed. Trevor Kavanagh of The Sun.